guess this is a kind of personal thoughts video. You might hear me say on my YouTube page and even my comments, kill him, death, murder. You wouldn't believe me if I told you, but all that stuff is because of what these people did to me. Before all of this, I was actually just a guy that wanted to have, once again, spiritual beings having a physical experience. I just wanted to have my physical experience, and there was a bunch of assholes from a church that were dedicated to stopping me because they want to human traffic and rape kids and do all the bad things and then scream there's no good and wrong, there's no right and wrong, so you're self-righteous because there's no right and wrong. Like, these people are ridiculous. A short anecdote: when I was growing up in Ackworth, there was this kid that just stole stuff. Like, he was kind of a klepto. He would just steal stuff nonstop and go on about how rich people got rich. They got rich by playing dirty. And that was this kid's entire thing, was he believed rich people got rich through playing dirty. But when I talked to him, I pointed out, I introduced him to my friend, his name was Alec at the time, and I pointed out that Alec was from a rich family, and that's how he got his money. And I remember that kid couldn't process that. He couldn't process that Alec's wealth was just inherent. It was nepotistic. Now, I am 1,000,000% against gatekeeping. What Blondie in this church does is 1,000,000,000% disgusting. There should not be some random people who appoint themselves the authority over who gets to be great and who doesn't get to be great. And you have to think and act like us if you want to be great, because fuck you. You don't have the superior psychology. You think like a goddamn 2-year-old. Now, that kid, I don't know where he is now, but me and him had a big back and forth. But he was stalwart and disbelieved even I was a piece of shit. He believed everybody was a lying, stealing sack of shit. And I think that's the truth about this church, by the way. I think they do horrendous, disgusting things that doesn't align with their values. It doesn't align with who they are. And then they just scream, everybody does it. They go, everybody does it. We're all the same. And then they stumbled upon me. A guy that doesn't do that. A guy that just does the right thing because it's the right thing. And once again, when you're a good person, you curate the shittiness of bad people. It makes them feel like shit. Yeah. I'm reminded of this, the kid told me one day, like, oh, if he's ever rich, that he'll pay it forward and he'll help other people, but first he's going to be a complete piece of shit, and then, once he gets rich. So I asked him, I was like, what happens if you don't get rich? I was like, all those people you screwed over, all those people you're like, I'm going to go back and help, like, what happens if you just never make it? And I remembered this look of horror on his face, as if he couldn't imagine, like, that he was going to fail, and I was just whatever. I don't know what puts that in people, but yeah. And I think that's the truth about this church. They're disgusting, and it's projection, so everybody's disgusting. And then they stumbled upon me, a guy that's not disgusting, and then they forced me into being disgusting, so they can prove themselves right. The biggest issue with pseudoscience, where you set out to prove something, is you end up manipulating the circumstances so you can be right. That is why these people lie and manipulate, because they go, I said this, reality's subjective, I'm gonna force myself to be right. Through any means necessary. And the church enables them. It gives them all the skills they need to force themselves to be right. When in actuality, they need to sit down in a room by themselves and go, am I actually right? Is everybody actually just a sack of shit, or am I alone? And here's the truth, you're not alone. There are other people that are sacks of shit, but there's also good people. Something you're not and you can never be. Um, when I was out there in the desert, I had been abducted. Remember, these people, they had some guy named Doug Boyle fucking adopt me so I could be part of the special bloodline of entitled fucks. Um, they took me out there to that desert. They kept me high on drugs the entire time. They remember, they either spray you in the face with the tetralet and LSD, or while you're sleeping, they put LSD in your mouth. They took me out there. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to lead anything. I wanted to just live my life. I literally, the way I view my life is I'm here to have an experience. That is all I want to do. And these people keep fucking up my experience. That is like their end goal with everything they do, is to fuck up my life experience because I guess they have nothing better to do with their lives. Like, they're just losers like that. I don't know. They're retarded. Like, but when I was out there, I did this very Bobby thing where Jasmine was like, oh, we got this guy, and I didn't know who I was. When you're out there, I don't know how the fuck they say that LSD causes a strong sense of self. I had no sense of self while high on LSD. I didn't know who the fuck I was. I didn't even know I was the guy that brought down the church. That's how far removed from reality I was. They took me out there. They raped me. They did all these horrible things to me. And then here I am, and talking to them, and they're telling me, oh, there's this guy, and he wouldn't bend to our will. He wouldn't do what we wanted him to. So basically, we illegally abducted him and then forced him to do what we wanted. And I said, well, at least that, but they didn't say they forced him. Like, they were like, oh, we got him, and, now he's here, and basically we're in control, and just, that's all they care about. They're like 2-year-olds. Control. There's nothing smart about it. It's control. That's it. They're retarded, like I said, and people don't like that word. People don't like, no, when you describe these people, the only word you can use to describe them is retarded. That is it. There is no other word that you could possibly use to describe how stupid these people are. But, yeah, when I was out there, they start telling me about how they abducted this guy. They got him out there. Oh, everything is saved. They've imprisoned the guy that saved them. And I said, well, at least he agreed to that. I was like, at least he agreed to that, and everything's not going to blow up in your face because you're trying to force things to happen you can't possibly control, and everything's going to go bad for you. And then I'm going to have to go and fix it because he's going to have to. That guy's going to have to go and fix it like he always has to do because you guys just mess everything up. And there was this awkward stare, and the wife stared at me. And I do that a lot, by the way, where I literally lay out on the grounds exactly what's going to happen next due to my ability to take abstract information and project most likely outcomes. I'll give you a couple of examples of this. When I was living in Ackworth, there was this dude that really wanted the Eclipse vehicle, and he would do anything to get it. And I told him that's cool and everything, but the last thing you want to do is buy one that used to be used for racing. It has a really messed up transmission because transmissions are really expensive to fix. Well, he finds one that used to be used for racing and is extremely cheap. He purchases it and can't take it anywhere because the transmission's dead. I'm really good at meeting driven people and then pointing out where they're making their mistakes. That is just a thing with me. I even recall this shit. I'm pretty sure it was Blondie, who was like, there's this guy, and it's always sideways. They're non-committal as fuck. They're the most non-committal people on the planet. And he lied, and he went on about how I put all these innocent people in prison. Yes, that happened, but he leaves out the fact that they poisoned me with heavy metals to begin with, and I wasn't cognizant, and I had no idea what I was doing. And you might go, do you not feel any guilt or remorse? Yes, I feel horrible about what happened to those people. But here's the other side effect. No, I don't feel any responsibility for it. And it's because I didn't poison me with heavy metals. That was these people. And if they had accountability and responsibility, they would turn themselves in. But they're not gonna, because they don't do those things in the church. Because according to them, everybody's a sack of shit. So their way of being is justified in that nature. Okay. I remember this guy said justification is a mental illness, and I've never really, like, understood it as that way until I met these church members, and now I realize everything they do, they justify what they did, regardless of how horrible it is, and then just, I guess, move on. Like, there's nothing smart about their behavior, they just do stupid shit, and then when it goes bad, they just do more stupid shit. Yeah. Anyways, he went on and I was like, he was like, oh, this guy's evil, and he said all the bad things I did without saying any of the good things, because he's spinning a narrative. He was spinning a narrative, trying to control everything, things he can't control. And I was like, well, okay, yeah, if that guy's actually purely evil and he didn't actually turn in like an actual human trafficking ring, and there isn't a bunch of women getting their brains eaten, and there's not, and I ran down a list of all the things that Blondie left out of what he said, and I said, if that's all true, then I guess that guy belongs in prison. And Blondie was like, it is all true. It is, because he was lying. He was lying the entire time, and it's what he does. He lies. Once again, if you actually believe reality is subjective, then I got news for you. You believe everything is a lie, including what you say is a lie, because it just means you can say whatever you want, and that's true. That means there's no base for truth because you believe reality is subjective. Bobby by any other standards, I turned in a massive human trafficking ring in every serial killer in America. Okay. That's good. But Blondie can just lie and say, I didn't turn in a massive human trafficking ring with every serial killer in America. I'm actually just a sack of shit that lied about everything and made it up because I wanted attention. The word is lying, and that is the opposite of integrity, by the way. You cannot have integrity and lie about everything. So, there you go. I remember, my idiot friend Taco one time, where, we were talking about something, and he was basically talking about being smug about something. I don't even remember what. He was like, basically, he got away with doing this thing, and I was like, oh, I'm glad that you got away with it, and in actuality, everybody, like, doesn't secretly know what you did, and they just let you get away with it. And then later, he found out everybody knows what he did. He wasn't smooth, he wasn't smart, they just let him get away with it because they didn't care. And, dude, I can think of 100 time, like I right now I can't, but there's probably been 1,000,000 times in my life where somebody has said something stupid to me, where they're like, I did this thing, and then they list like basically how smart they are, and then I just immediately ego pop with, yeah, that's great, but at least you didn't do that, and then it turns out what I said is true. An example of this is my manager, Drew. Who was like, I was a hardcore football guy. I would do a bump of coke and go out there and mess up the other team. And I was like, well, it's a good thing you were actually really good at football and you weren't just high on cocaine sitting on the bleachers being neurotic and weird, and the coach never put you in because you were neurotic and weird because you were high on cocaine. That guy went home early, and then I was approached by another manager who has really good people skills, who said, Bobby, what did you say to Drew? And I told him about the conversation, and he was like, Bobby, Drew was that guy. He was that guy that did coke and sat on the sidelines. He didn't actually play. And I was like, oh, well, he shouldn't go around lying to people. And I have done that so many times in my life, it is just natural for me to do that. Yeah. And I want to talk about, I think they got me. They're probably gonna force me to marry Bobby Joe or one of the other wives. I never wanted to have sex with any of those women. I didn't want to have sex with anybody, to be honest. That happened because the wives, once again, forced me to give them a list of names, and I just said names or whatever because they told me they would kill me if I didn't. And that's the thing with these people. Everything's under the threat of death, and if somebody is terrified, they're not going to give you 100% accurate information. They're going to say whatever it takes to get rid of that threat of death. Okay. So it doesn't surprise me that I had sex with ugly women out there. It doesn't surprise me that these things all went bad because of how these people think. And it is how these people think that is just purely destructive. Okay. The only thing I really want to do out of my life is honestly, after I've experienced and seen how disgusting the world is, like, when I was a kid, I entered the world as hopeful. I used to believe that we could fix things, I could fix things, and I had a sense of power, I had a sense of, I guess, integrity. I guess I had a real sense of self. Like, I understood what I wanted to do. And that's kind of what I set out to do. But after my experience with what happened, I just kind of shut down, and I really didn't want a damn thing to do with anybody. And honestly, the only thing I want is to be left alone. And people are so fucking retarded, they can't leave me alone. They're just fucking stupid. And even these people in this church, you guys fucked everything up. You should fix it. You're not gonna, because you don't have accountability. You don't have agency in your own life. I had agency, you took a hammer to it. And even Blondie and gatekeeping, I used to believe you could become rich. And then I find out that Blondie will fucking murder and kill anybody. If you have greatness, this church will steal it from you and give it to somebody else they think deserves it because that dirty cracker didn't do any work. He didn't actually put any effort in. It should just be handed to him because he's a dirty cracker that murdered 6 kids and 7 women. Like, the gatekeeping kills me. And even Blondie, had I got this right, he would have shot Mary Bowberry, like, to teach me a lesson, because he can't handle the fact that he's a fucking loser and nobody told him he's a fucking loser. Like, I just, whatever, man. The disgustingness is the shit that agitates me. Yeah. I hope, after all this is over, everything is done, that at some point, like, I'll go to jail for prison for 10 years, 15, 30, whatever. I can just be left the fuck alone. Like, yeah, when I was little, I wanted fame and fortune. I wanted to fix things. I wanted money so I could have power to help people. I wanted to do all these really good things, and I legitimately wanted to do all these good things. And I remember Blondie was self-righteous. Nobody wants to help anybody. I'm a narcissist, and I only care about myself. I want to do all the bad things, so you want to do all the bad things, because I'm a sack of shit, and I hate myself, so you're a sack of shit, and you hate yourself. I hate myself because I don't have any power. Okay? And if you're a church leader in this place, you should never call anybody self-righteous because you don't have values to begin with. You have no principles. Okay, so everybody that has any type of values whatsoever is self-righteous because they actually believe in something. Where you're a walking nihilist. Okay? Nietzsche is doublespeak nihilisms for dumbasses, and you are a dumbass. Okay, and you're the scariest thing on the planet. A dumbass with power. Thank you. That is all I wanted to say. I desperately just want enough money so I can just sit somewhere and be left alone. I have given up on the world as a whole. I wish the world would show me that there was something worth saving in it.